Coming up on this episode of Flirtations, I'm thrilled to introduce my dear friend Rita. In this heartwarming conversation, Rita, who just celebrated a milestone birthday, all will be revealed inside. And let me tell you, she has got so many incredible and invaluable insights on love, relationships, and what truly matters most in life. Rita's optimism shines through as we talk about how to stay positive, the importance of connection, communication strategies, what to look for in a partner, how to navigate our differences, and even some flirting tips, y'all. So, whether you're in the dating scene or maybe seeking a fresh perspective on love, this episode is packed with inspiration. Now, let's get ready to meet Rita. Let's do this, flirties.
I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. Hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the flirt coach and a gay Libra. Everyone has an inner flirt.
Hey, flirty.
Live, laugh, flirt.
Work the flirt.
Work the flirt. Delulu is the Salulu. Expert on the flirt.
Hey, flirty. There's always another flirt.
Everyone has an inner flirt. Get out of your head and into the flirt.
Flirties, I am so excited to have my friend Rita Smith on the show today. Hi, Rita.
Oh, Benjamin, so good to see you, darling.
Quite literally, as we're doing this in person, my first ever episode of Flirtations face-to-face with a guest. Yeah, really cool. Got some new fancy mics. Mm-hmm. We've got the whole setup, and I'm really excited to have you on the show today.
And I'm excited to be with you.
So for the flirties that are getting to know you for the first time today, how could you share our meet cute moment? How did we come to be friends?
We came to be friends because we lived next door to one another in a condominium.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And you like to cook and I like to eat. And so you would cook, bring the food here, we'd eat here, you'd clean up the kitchen. You were my angel.
And honestly, you were mine. We shared some really good times together. I'd come, and you cooked a few things for me as well. I can remember some soups. I can remember some desserts. I'd come over, we'd have dinner, we'd watch some of our shows and just have a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shark Tank.
That's our show.
Oh no, we like Jeopardy too. And you knew all the answers. I really did. I was so impressed.
I knew the answers after the contestants.
No, that's not true.
Oh,
not true.
I got a few from time to time.
You did very well.
As did you.
If they were medical.
Yeah.
My old nursing background came to fore.
All right. So I'm going to be asking you some questions today about love, relationships, dating. This is a lot of what Flirtations is about, but also about life. So I think this is going to be a really fun discussion, conversation today. And I think I'd like to ask you, so what do you think I do, Rita?
I don't know what you do, but you do it well, I'm sure, because you always do everything well.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. Yeah, so work part-time at Trader Joe's. That's one thing I do. Teach yoga. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something else I do. And then Flirtations, this is a podcast for daters, but really anyone looking for connection, right? Connection with themselves, connections in their relationships, platonic, romantic, whether they're dating, they're in long-term relationships, they're somewhere in between, in and out of dating. So for the flirty listening that is just looking for more connection in their life, for more love, how could they bring more love in?
Well, there are different types of love, I think.
Okay.
Like you and I have great love for one another, but not on a sexual basis.
Right.
And we hug and kiss and do everything, but that's it.
Yes.
And then there's that hot love, you have when you're young and all that. I had with my first husband, a naval aviator, who was crazy. Well, you'd have to be crazy to be a naval aviator, landing on a pitching ship in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Yeah. And the jet.
Yeah.
He taught me a lot about love.
Mm.
He did. Yeah.
What was one or two things you remember that you think he taught you?
We lost our first two children. They weren't born, but they were lost, and we both wanted children, and that was a disappointment in our lives for a while. And while we were in California, I remembered that there was a doctor there that had been a resident at my school of nursing when I was a student. And I looked up his name and made an appointment and went to see him. And he got me straightened up, and then I couldn't stop because we had 3 children. Bang, bang, bang. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when the squadron went to Vietnam, he was lost. And I think the most difficult part of that is that there was no closure for me and his parents.
Yeah.
Because the plane exploded and he was in it. And that was a very difficult time in my life.
Yeah.
But we lost half the squadron at that point.
Yeah.
Which was also, I mean, if it wasn't me, it was somebody else, and just down the line.
It sounds like, I mean, you had, because I've heard you talk about him, and I've seen his pictures as I'm visiting you, and I can tell, of course, you had so much love and still do.
Yes.
So how, I think I'm maybe now focusing on some of the fun you had, because I think a lot of the flirties listening, they're dating or they're in relationships, and things can become really serious. You get frustrated and burnt out, just kind of overwhelmed and even lonely at times. So how we can experience love and just also be open to a lot of fun and possibility.
Well, we did have a lot of fun, I must say. He taught me how to drive, and I don't know why we didn't get divorced, because I was not a very good student. And he happened to be in the med when it was time for me to take my test. And I was very fat and pregnant, could hardly move the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And I think I passed the book test fine 3 times.
Okay.
After the second time that I failed the driving test, trying to park a great big car in a little space that had brooms on the deck that I just couldn't see them even.
Yeah.
And so I didn't pass that part. And I told them that I would never parallel park. I promised them I would never parallel park.
Yeah.
If they give me a license, because my husband was away and I was going to have this baby. And he was kind enough to pass me.
Yeah.
Interesting parts of life.
Yeah.
And he was never there when any of the children were born.
Right. Overseas.
The first, he was in the med. And the second, he was having a wonderful time. He was on a 2-week type of party type thing with all of the different airplane makers like Boeing and all, and tire makers and all kinds of things, because they wined them and dined them. They wanted them to buy their things.
Yes, a little schmoozing. Maybe some flirting.
Yes, they were. Absolutely. And then the third time, he was in Akron, Ohio. I think the Wright brothers are from there, aren't they?
I think they are too. Yeah.
And it was in January. It's rather chilly in Akron, Ohio in January. And he was flying his plane, and there was an Air Force tanker above him, spilling water on his plane to see how much ice would form on the wings before it fell out of the sky.
Yeah. Oh,
Wasn't that fun?
Yeah.
So I had Rita in.
Yeah.
our baby.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, none of our children remember their father because essentially he was gone a lot. But there's a saying about "this is your life, Mrs. Navy wife." And it's true.
Yeah. And he lives on through memories and through pictures and stories.
I had a wonderful painting done of him.
Yeah.
And And I kept him alive in the children's minds, even though they didn't remember him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Of the funny things he did.
Yeah. And I feel like I've gotten to know him. Of course,
I-
never met him.
No.
But I feel like I know
Mhm.
a lot about him as well. And so talking about love a little bit more, there's a lot of flirties that are scared of love for
Mhm.
many reasons. Maybe
Yeah.
feel like, they don't deserve it,
I think
or,
they're afraid of rejection.
oh, okay. Okay.
That's what I think happens a lot.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. I definitely
Mhm.
see that. And so for the flirty that's listening that is fearing rejection, what wisdom do you have for them?
Well, there's not very much you can do about that, except I think we need to have more faith in ourselves, and that we are good people.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a difficult thing to overcome.
To believe in yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is.
I think.
But that's one of you've helped me believe in myself
Oh, you're so wonderful.
a lot. It's true.
I mean, you didn't know you were so wonderful.
No.
And you are.
Because I didn't believe it.
But you are.
Oh, well, thank you. And I mean, one of the phrases one of the sayings that you taught me that I say all the time to myself, it's left foot, right foot.
Oh, yes. Keep marching.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very important.
Mm-hmm.
And don't look back.
Don't look back.
But I look back on this romantic thing that I had with that number one husband.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And because a lot of people, a lot of flirties, everyone listening, sometimes feel like they have to go through life alone. They're dealing with something difficult, a breakup or a loss, and they just keep it in. They don't really talk about it or share about it. But there's so much healing and connection and in community. So for the flirty kind of in that mindset right now, why do you think leaning on other people and just starting to trust other people is so important?
Well, you have to be careful who you trust, too.
You do.
There's a double-edged sword here.
Yeah.
But most people are, I think, caring and honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
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 Well, in fact, after my husband was killed, so to speak, my neighbors came.
Yeah.
And the rest of the squadron who had also had losses.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing in a loss is time.
Time. Yeah.
It never really goes away,
Mm-hmm.
but the hurt gets a little duller.
Say time heals all wounds. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that. But also our ability to just accept in many ways the outcomes of things. That's part of it. Yeah.
You have to accept death.
You do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of us struggle with that.
Oh, sure.
We look in the past and we wish and want to change things, or we're too focused in the future and not here, right, in the present. So so many questions I want to ask you. Maybe let's get into a little dating advice.
Before or after?
Both. What are maybe a couple things you would tell your younger self about, or you would offer to the flirties about dating?
That's a tough one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if you're looking to get married, don't make it obvious.
Oh, okay. You don't want to put all your cards out on the table right away.
No.
Some qualities you think people should look for in potential partners.
Well, I'm big in religion. So religion.
Okay.
And this wonderful young man that I was so in love with was a Baptist.
Okay.
Southern.
Okay. So you went,
And he was the president of the Baptist Student Union.
Okay.
In college. And, and I'm a Roman Catholic.
Yep.
He came to church with me.
Yeah.
And he would get the kids dressed and everything. And
yeah.
And we'd go off to church together. And
Yeah. So you're both aligned on something that was really important to you.
important to me, and his was important to him, but he knew I wasn't going to change.
Right. and
I'm
you
really one way.
you did it. This is a lot of daters feel like they have to adapt and change themselves to for the relationship, to get someone to like them. And you're saying, no,
I'm not going to do that.
Don't do that.
And after we were married, we would kneel by the bedside every night, no matter how long we'd been at happy hour, and pray.
And pray, yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
It was wonderful.
And how did you all, or communication, where does that fit into?
Oh, we were very honest with one another, honest and open. This is the way it is.
Yeah.
Have to be in any relationship and friendship.
Yeah. I think that's important too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
This is, I'm trying to encourage the flirties to, even though when it's really difficult and hard, to just be honest with other people,
and
your
yourself.
Friends. Yes, your partners, but also yourself. That's the biggest one. It's just so you come into your authentic self, right? Your genuine self when you really show up. That's in.
Here it is. This is the way it is.
Exactly. Yeah. And all right, so this question came through, and I really wanted to ask this one. What do you think's what is one of the bravest things you think you ever did?
One of the bravest things I ever did?
Yeah.
Well, there are two.
Okay.
I wanted to be a nurse. My mother didn't want me to be a nurse, and so I ran away.
Yeah. Okay.
I was always running. My mother, bless her heart, she was a wonderful mother, but rather old-fashioned, I must say, because she came from Sicily.
Yeah.
And she just didn't think that would be a good job for me, and I wanted to do that. I'd always wanted to be a nurse. So I ran away.
Yeah.
And then I ran away again when I joined the Navy.
Yeah.
And Mother indicated to me that only ladies of the night, in quotes,
right,
were in the armed forces.
Okay.
And I said, well, no, I could have a very good business right here, Mother, in Syracuse. I didn't have to go anyplace. And she hit me. She slapped me.
Oh, she did?
She did. I was 27 years old.
Wow.
She was so angry with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I could see where she would be angry. But I went ahead with this Navy nurse thing, and I was stationed for indoctrination at a place called St. Albans on Long Island. So we had the weekends off, and I was going to be there for 6 weeks in indoctrination, learning how to march.
Yeah, yeah.
and Navy lingo, like a chit is a piece of paper, and things like that. So I would go home in uniform. Oh, she just loved it. Mother loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I went home in a summer uniform once. She said, where's your other dress? Because the summer uniform was just a little seersucker dress.
Right.
But yeah. And then I went home with a Baptist.
Yes.
To get married.
Yes.
And shocking the world because everybody thought I was going to be a nun,
A sister.
Yeah. Sister nun. And I had thought about it. I think every little Catholic girl thinks about that on occasion, you know, at least once in their life. In the meantime, during this time of my relationship with Bob, he was in what they call the Snake Ranch.
Yes.
And that was a house where young men lived. And he lived in a house with 3 other young people that were naval aviators. And Mother and Dad came down to visit me when I was in the Navy. And I put them up in this house, and they didn't know how I knew about this house and everything. And it was before she met Bob.
Okay.
Yeah. And we, they cooked a wonderful Italian dinner, and I brought some of the doctors over.
Yes.
And so mother, of course, thought I was going to marry a doctor, my son-in-law, the doctor.
Uh-huh.
Mm-mm.
Not quite.
No, it didn't work that way. But
How did you two meet? Maybe what was your first date?
well, actually, I was at a party.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there was a chief on my ward that said there was somebody he wanted me to meet.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And I was at a party and I met this young man, naval aviator, not a jet pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And we dated for a while.
Okay.
And he was going to go to sea.
Uh-huh.
You know how that is.
Yep.
And he said, but I have a friend coming that I'd like for you to meet. He's a jet pilot and he'll take you out and show you the line, all the different jets.
Yes.
Well, I thought that was interesting. So I said, yes, he could give him my phone number. And that's how we met.
And that's how you met.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. The flirties love a meet cute moment, an initial, right? Who called who? Not texted, but who called who like set it up. And so, through a mutual, let's say a mutual friend.
Yes.
We're introduced with one another. Mm-hmm. And the rest was history. Well, this flirty wants to ask, talking about, of course, love and relationships. What do you think truly matters in life?
Well, for me,
Mm-hmm.
the number one thing is God.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Family.
Yeah.
Profession.
Okay.
I think that covers the waterfront.
Okay.
What else do you think?
Health.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Peace.
Health and peace in your life.
Uh-huh. Love.
That covers everything.
Yeah. Hot chocolate.
Yeah. I love it.
Sugar.
Flan.
Yeah. Which is what we ate prior to
right.
prior to recording.
Makes me sweet.
To get ourselves ready. And so, because I want to stay here for a moment, because there's a lot of flirties listening that are in different phases of their life, with their relationships, with their career, their education. Just
how about age group? I'd like to know about age group.
It's really across the board. I can look at the demographics, which gives me a sort of a snapshot, and it seems like the sweet spot is mid-ish 30s. But there's flirties listening that are in their teens, all the way their 40s, of course, 50s, 60s, and beyond. It's really a cross spectrum, because I think people, the flirties are tuning in not just for dating advice, for flirting advice, but also just to learn more about themselves. And it doesn't matter what phase of life you're in, what age you are, there's always something we can learn about ourselves. Yeah.
Another thing I should tell you is Bob was 5 years younger than I.
Oh, you dated a younger man?
Yeah.
Oh.
I married a younger man.
You did marry a younger man.
I did.
See, flirties, it works.
It does.
Uh-huh.
It did. It worked well.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a fun thing. We went to Syracuse because Bob was going to ask for my hand in marriage.
Yeah.
And it was like the Knights of the Round Table.
Yes.
And the matriarch was sitting there and my father next to her and, and my sisters and everything. And we had talked about when we should get married.
Mm-hmm.
This was like in May.
Mm-hmm.
On our way up, we decided that it would be a good time to marry on Labor Day, because my oldest sister and her husband had a little mom and pop grocery store and it would be closed on that day. Mm-hmm. So we just went right ahead with that.
Yeah.
And it was on Labor Day. And when we got home, as I say, the Knights of the Round Table were there. And my sister asked, when did we want to get married? And we explained to her why. And she said, oh, so soon?
Yeah.
It was May. And my mother said, should we wait for her third set of teeth to come in? I was 20. I would be.
Oh, my God.
I was 28 at that point, and I was 29 when I married him.
Wow.
Yeah, I was an old maid, really.
I was going to say, for that, I'll say time period,
yes,
that was relatively late.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So that was another big thing.
Yeah, you were a rebel in many ways.
Cougar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
A
cougar.
You were nice. You weren't going to say it.
I set you up for it, but you came through.
Yeah.
This Is there a moment that you knew? I know a lot of flirties, they're dating and they're like, oh, is there a moment I'm going to know, right? They just want that certainty to just really trust themselves, to trust the person they're dating. Do you think there was a moment?
There was a moment when, I was thinking of all the things, the religion and this, that, and the other thing that I just thought maybe, and he had the same problem.
Yeah.
I was a different religion and all, and his parents were not happy about that.
Yeah.
And that I thought maybe we should break up.
Mm-hmm.
And I cried about it alone, not in front of him.
Yeah.
So there was that moment, but it worked itself out. And we got back together. And it was meant to be.
And it was meant to be.
But I have to tell you something else too in my life.
Yeah, please.
I had Brad.
Yes,
Brad
please.
was a great part of my life.
And
And he was 12 years older than me. First I was the cougar, and now I don't know who I am. A wonderful man. He was in ordnance cannons in World War II and in Korea. And then when he got back after Korea, he taught the people that were going to shoot the cannons off.
Yeah.
And they didn't wear the Mickey Mouse ears or anything. So, of course, he lost his hearing, which is really a great loss. I think sight is probably worse.
Yeah.
But hearing is a bad thing, too. And a wonderful man. And we traveled the world together.
Yes, you did.
From Alaska to Antarctica.
Yes. And how did you meet Brad?
I had a friend who had a little boutique, and I used to go there and buy clothes. And she used to do the readings with this gentleman in the Episcopal Church. And his wife had died a few years before. And she thought it would be nice. She said to me, I have someone I want you to meet.
Oh, here we go. Another introduction.
Yes. And it was Brad. And we kind of dated on and off for about 3 years.
Oh, okay.
And then decided that we should get married.
Yes.
And this was 29 years after Bob died.
29 years, Rita. Wow.
And when he asked me, I said, I don't know whether you really want to marry me. I've been doing my thing for 29 years. I might be difficult to live with. But he didn't think so. Oh. And we had a lovely marriage. We really did. He was a great guy.
Yeah.
And his family took me in.
Yep.
And that was nice. Of course, he wasn't sitting on their doorstep either. But he was sitting on mine.
That's right.
And it was wonderful. Oh. Yeah. We'd go out to dinner every night, chat and talk about different things. And I had, I commissioned one of my friends who was an artist, not with us anymore, bless her heart, and had paintings made of Brad and his wife, because I had already had paintings of Bob and I in uniform, which if you all come to my house, I'll show you.
Yes, I've seen them. Maybe I'll, on a little excerpt after the interview, I'll take you on a tour of the house or something like that. But I'm so glad you mentioned another great love and relationship marriage you had
wonderful
in your life with Brad 29 years after Bob. This is I so wanted to hear about this part of your story as well. I think it's going to be really inspiring.
And you have to be careful what you ask God for.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Because I said, I pray a lot of Twitter.
Yes.
And I said, dear God, if I do this, please give us 10 good years. Don't set a time limit.
Yeah.
And we were married for 11.
Yeah.
We had a wonderful time for the first 10 years.
Yes.
And then between the 10th and 11th, he had some dementia and other problems. And it was a little more difficult, but I mean, I took care of him the best I could.
Of course. Yeah. Nurse Rita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could take a picture of that Nurse Rita thing out there.
Oh, yeah.
So we had our 10 good years. I had really more years with him than with Bob. With Bob, I was only married 7, but
That's
he was
right.
gone most of the time.
Right, right.
I'm a very fortunate woman. I truly am. Notice I'm a woman, not a girl anymore at 95.
Fortunate woman, yes.
And we did have that wonderful party at the Officers Club. No, not the Officers Club. It's just the country club here
Here at the club.
on the golf course.
We just celebrated your 95th
5.
birthday party with a big celebration here. I was so happy to come up and be a part of that because for the flirties this is a fun, yes, insider tip. It's an insider piece of knowledge. We share the same birthday. So
I know.
Yeah.
And then the other man, Shannon.
Yeah. We have some other neighbors here in the neighborhood.
We're all October 15 people.
October 15th.
Of course, I came with a crash, 1929. Wouldn't you know?
Came in, and then I'm here, world. I'm here.
No, I meant the other kind of crash, the monetary crash.
Yeah, that was a different kind of crash for sure. Beginning of the Great Depression.
It was.
What do you think? Because the flirties are curious. I got a few questions about this. Kind of the secrets to life, right?
Oh.
Talking about health just then. We've been talking about love and relationships. So I think all of these are some not so secrets, but from your perspective, just your experience, what are some of the secrets to life?
I think I said God, family, friends.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But your health as well.
Oh, yes.
And I think an important thing to mention here is, we got to bring it back to connection, is when I'm visiting your phone, as always. People are calling.
Well, that's
yes.
It's my lifeline, I call it.
But it is a lifeline. They're not just calling, out of the blue, but you call them and you check in, and I see you get cards, but you also send cards and write cards, and you're very intentional.
You have to be a friend to have one.
I know, Rita. It seems very straightforward advice, but it's not. It's not. You do have to be a friend to have friends, though. And so, talking about friendship for a little bit, how can the flirties listening just have maybe stronger friendships or meet new people? Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think it's nice to meet new people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you can do that through church.
Sure.
And through work.
Yes, absolutely.
And look at all the people you meet every day.
Yeah, at the store, Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
My gosh, any week, hundreds.
Sure.
I come into, actual face-to-face at the register, answering questions, teaching yoga.
And they look for you.
Maybe.
Because
maybe a few do.
I think they do because you have an answer for them.
I do try and be very helpful.
They know that you know your business.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I try my best to have an answer, and if I don't, I will get one for them.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But does that answer your question?
I think so. And how can people? Because one experience I have with you is that you're really present for your relationships, your friendships. So how can we just be more maybe authentic with our connections? A lot of us, we feel like we're anxious, or we're shy, or we need to perform, or we want to get people to like us. And then at the end of the day, all of that, it is what it is, but it sometimes can get in the way of just feeling really grounded and secure in our connections. So how can we maybe be more present, just more authentic?
Not to thine own self be true.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. And what does that mean?
It means that you look at the whole thing, and you get a ledger, and you get the assets and the credits. And that's where it is.
That's where it is.
It is. But don't be cruel.
Okay. That's
to anybody. That's tough.
Yeah. Especially when you feel like, the world can be a tough place, or
It is a tough place.
It is, and you're being treated unfairly. It's hard not to give some of that energy back out. But I think what you were saying earlier, it's more so being just mindful and aware about your trust and who you trust. And yeah, that's a big part of it.
It is. Truly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've learned a lot about me.
I have. I've learned a lot. And can I ask you a couple more questions?
Of course.
Because I want to ask you now about keeping a positive mindset. That's one thing I honestly have learned. One of the many things I've learned from you is just how to stay positive.
Well, I like to pray a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that keeps me very positive in prayer.
Yeah.
And you have to like yourself, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
I don't always like my hair, but you have to like yourself as a person.
That's a big one. That's a hard one. I think that's something we're all continuously working on, but just being nicer and kinder, more compassionate with ourselves.
Absolutely.
Is a big part of it.
So true.
I appreciate that. And left foot, right foot. Just keep marching.
Right.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. The lady that brought me that beautiful poinsettia.
Yes.
She's so wonderful. And she brought me that, and she said, now I have to leave her because there's another lady older than me that lives close to her, and she lives alone, and she wanted to bring her little flower pot.
Yeah.
Now, see, that lady is doing really wonderful things.
Yes.
And I do feel badly that I'm just a little handicapped. And now that I don't drive and don't have a car and all that, and can't go out and buy poinsettias and take them to my neighbors and friends.
Yeah.
It makes me sad. I really miss the fact that I am not driving anymore.
Yeah.
So enjoy your driving days, dear friends, but be careful.
And while I'm here visiting, I'll take us.
Thank you. Yeah, good.
I'll take us everywhere. Yeah,
Okay.
I know. Giving up you only recently stopped driving too.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it was time, probably.
Perhaps.
I hate to admit it.
Perhaps so. But we had some driving habits in common too. We like to speed a little bit.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, just a little bit. All right. So we're both Libras, Rita. It would be remiss if I did not talk about flirting for a moment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
What does flirting mean to you? What do you think it is?
I think I'm too old to flirt.
No.
I have to be honest.
You think you're too old?
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I do flirt with that young man that brings us our drinks when we go to Manjakui.
Yes, you do flirt with the waiter.
Yes. Oh, you've noticed.
Just a little. I've you.
And he flirts back.
I would say he definitely flirts back.
Whatever that means.
I think it's a fun interaction. I think there's some eye contact.
Yeah.
I think there's some body language happening, and just a really.
He'll be happy to see us.
Yes. It's a fun time. Yeah. Just this is what I base a lot of my work on is flirting, which I see as a practice of connection, right? In the moment, no expectations, just an authentic expression of interest, right? Like I think that's a lot of what it is. So
it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another expression.
It is what it is. What would be a top flirting tip for you or that you could share with the flirties?
Oh, your eyes.
Eyes?
Eyes are a reflection of the soul, of course.
Ooh, okay.
But, and lashes.
Yeah. Okay. Little mascara, maybe something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I think your eye contact is really
eyes.
It's a big one. There's a lot of flirties that have they're very nervous to make eye contact because it's very it's an expression of vulnerability too.
True. Yes.
Yeah.
That is so true. You're afraid of being hurt. Rejection, as I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Afraid of maybe even being seen, right? Oh, do they see me? And now you are overthinking perhaps about, oh, who's going to maybe make the first move, or what should I do next? What should I say? And then, yeah, you start overthinking, spinning in your mind. But yeah.
And I think even going to the grocery store, you should, you need to be semi-dressed well.
Okay.
Because if you're not,
No.
you'll see everyone you know.
Okay. No pajama pants at the grocery store?
No.
Okay. This has been really, really fun talking to you today for Flirtations. How has this experience been for you?
Oh, I've had a fun time.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you know what's going to happen with this?
Oh, it scares me.
I promise. I don't have to make you sound great or any which way you're going to sound.
Oh yeah, I want to sound great.
You're going to be amazing. And I'm going to put this out on the internet for the whole world to listen to. And I'm going to share it with them. And I think you're going to make a lot of new friends.
That I won't ever meet. Which is sad.
Well, in a way it is, honestly. Yeah. But they've got their earbuds in, they're in their car, or they're at home, right? Their speakers are on. Yeah, they're listening to this conversation, taking the words in, maybe learning a few new things about themselves, a few takeaways. Rita, this has been so incredible. Getting at least some of your story on audio. I'm going to put it out. Is there anything else on your mind that you want to share today? A very sharp, beautiful mind. That's full of optimism and hope and love, and just a mind that has taught me so much.
We learned from each other, not just you and I, but the whole world.
Yeah.
We learned from each other.
I think so too.
Yeah. Ciao.
I think that's a beautiful spot to end. Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bello.
Thank you, Rita. Love you.
Thank you. And I love you very much.
That's a wrap on this episode of Flirtations. Thank you so much to our guest for this conversation, Rita, for sharing so much with us. I was beyond excited to introduce her to you all, and I just have a strong feeling that you'll love her as much as I do. A truly incredible person, spirit, soul. And I remember pitching the idea to Rita. I was like, what do you think? What do you think? And she was like, let's do it. And then we did it on a Saturday morning in our bathrobes. And it is a memory I'll have forever. And now you're listening to the conversation. That was it. This was so much fun to put together, to edit, and to share with you. Yes, the Flirties. Thank you so much for listening, for tuning in, for streaming wherever you may be in the world. Could not do this without you. Please rate, review, subscribe, share the show. Come on over to another episode. Join me on the socials. Or if you're all caught up, a new episode of Flirtations will be out in the very near future. Yes, it will. That'll do it for me, Benjamin, the gay Libra, here at Flirt Headquarters. Flirty, only one final piece of business, and that is to wish you happy flirting.